we had this little move up right here.
Yeah.
And this is the daily chart. So every candle here is 1 day. And basically from that point on, we went sideways. And this is known in the technical trading sphere as a bull flag. So bull flag meaning bullish, and price should pop. And that's exactly what it's doing here. Now, it's not a big pop. But again, we're in the middle of a bear market with FTX. So what do we expect? They say things happen in threes.
Yeah.
So you had Terra Luna, you had FTX. So which is the third one? Yeah, so I mean, it's been rough, right? I mean, ever since FTX has collapsed, people have been, screaming about the losses that they've taken. It's been horrendous. But I do think, like, at least today, or at least last night when he was arrested, it was kind of a move in the right direction, right? It's, if you think about it, how many people got hurt, and then someone has to be held accountable.
Yeah.
And his arrest is that starting process. And I think for a lot of people, they may not get all their money back, but at least maybe it's the beginning of healing. And for the crypto industry, I think it could be the beginning of a little healing as well. Let's just hope that no one else, no big players in crypto are making other bad decisions like he was. Once you've made your bed and FTX made its bed, you have to lie in it, and there's going to be a process that has to go through, and it's the bankruptcy process. I mean, you have to figure out what was done, where did the money go. You got to track every little thing down. And I was listening to there was the Southern District of New York press conference today about the charges that they filed. And they were basically saying, listen, if you took any money from FTX for donations to your campaigns or anything like that, you need to return it because it's customer money. And so the positive is they're taking these steps to actually try to get some of the money back. And I bet they do get a decent amount. I don't think people should expect to get all their money back, but hopefully maybe half would be nice. I mean, again, you just hope that at least there's something left that people can have at the end of it. I'm not sure if anything surprises me anymore with this stuff, but yeah, I mean, it's just mind blowing, right? I mean, you have a company that at one point was worth $32 billion and to be using QuickBooks and just kind of plugging in some numbers. I mean, yeah, that should be, I wish we all knew that from the very beginning, because if that had been public information, people would have definitely been like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Sounds like SBF they were using some of the customer money to buy, properties. Properties, and then they were making contributions to politicians. And interestingly enough, from what I was hearing is they were doing it in his name, but then they actually did it in other people's names that didn't exist. And so it looked like he had this big network of donators to these campaigns.
So dirty.
Or influence. It's just like right there, it shows a process of thinking things through, which makes me think he's guilty, right? Because if he's smart enough to do these type of things, then he's certainly smart enough to realize you shouldn't commingle funds and you shouldn't use custom. There's no doubt about it that the law is going to come down on him, and it'll be interesting to see as all the facts come out. And then I'm curious, what kind of jail time? Is it 30 years? Is it 10 years? It shouldn't be less than 10. But again, I don't know what the statutes say in these situations. Yeah, that's certainly, it certainly gives fuel to the conspiracy theorists out there. I mean, just the timing of everything. Again, I don't know, there's a couple possibilities, right? So the Southern District of New York, they may not have wanted him to plead his case to the public and get sympathy, right? So if you look at what he's been doing for the past, since this went down, he's going on all these shows and saying, oh, I'm so sorry, I screwed up, I didn't know what I was doing. And so it could have been something like, listen, we don't give this guy another platform to spiel his BS to the public. Or maybe it was, maybe there was something more to it. I don't know. But, it's hard to imagine that that it would have been more than that, because I think the weird thing about it is you almost want him to talk, because then he can put his foot in his mouth and screw himself over even more, Right. So he can file an appeal, right? Which is standard. Yeah. If there's a citizen from Mexico here and they, or whatever, it could be from any country here.
Yeah.
You can file an appeal before you get sent back for extradition. But the question is, I don't think the Bahamian authorities, they don't want to deal with any negativity, right? You don't need people thinking, hey, listen, if you go to this place, you're a criminal, right? So I think they have an incentive to just ship them back. If it was me, if I was in their place, I'd be like, dude, take them, be done with it and prosecute them, show them that we're not hiding any shady characters. I don't know. Yeah, we just don't have enough information right now. So what I always say is like, give it a couple days, and if still nothing's out, then all right. But let's see over the next couple days, because again, there's a lot of conspiracy theorists. There was a lot of things like, oh, he's never going to get prosecuted because he was in all these politicians' pockets. And then, the fact of the matter is, it's in the best interest of almost everyone to prosecute him. So it's like, you're going to get prosecuted. Like, if it was not in their best interest, then maybe they'd figure out a way to let you get away with it. But right now, he has to be made an example of. There were a lot of, in the testimony today on Capitol Hill, there were some of these like politicians that were like, ban crypto, like this is like all this crap. And I was just like, these people literally have no clue. It's like, regulate it, yes, but like, this has nothing to do with crypto. Yeah, you could maybe say you can't do it in the US. Yeah. But you're not going to ban it in the world. And then the only thing you're going to do is make Americans miss out on the whole space and all the money and everything like that. So this really isn't crypto itself. Like, it's not a Bitcoin issue. This was, he could have been in any business, right? Exactly. He could have been in marijuana sales or whatever, something that's somewhat not regulated, and he could have done the same thing. So I agree 100%. It's ridiculous. And the good thing about it is I saw a couple interviews with some senators or congressmen afterwards, and they were like, listen, those guys there's a handful of the banners that ban crypto, but he said most everyone else were like crypto curious. Like, we don't know a lot. We want to learn more. We want to regulate it. We don't want to ban it. And I'm like, okay. So basically what that's telling me is that a majority, which is what you want, are like, okay, let's do the right thing here, and let's kind of make put the regulation on for transparency. So that's good. That's a positive. And I think, again, if we ever want crypto to really become epic and Bitcoin to go to 500,000, you need that. You need transparency in the industry now. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see. I don't even know how that works. Like, in a normal bankruptcy, the creditors get before the shareholders, right? But customers with accounts, I don't know if they're shareholders. They're not really considered shareholders. It's almost like, if you have your money at the bank, you're not a shareholder of the bank. No. You just have your money there. So yeah, I'm not really 100% sure, but in a normal bankruptcy, you're right. Big money usually gets their money first. I think they finally did unveil the charges. There was a bunch of different fraud charges. There were like a few. Yeah, so I think it's slowly coming out, but at least for me, I'm not on like the crate. Like, I really do think that he did get arrested. I think that it's just a process. He might be, there's certain rights in the Bahamas that he may be able to file for this, so he hasn't been arraigned yet. We don't really know yet, but I really do think he's going to get prosecuted and at least get 10 years in jail. Maybe more. It depends on what he did and things. But I do actually think that the strong hand of the law will come down on him hard. Nice. But yeah, prices are up. So I think that's partially, honestly, I think part of that is his arrest, right? Is that's confidence building in crypto, is that people are going to be held accountable, right? So that's number one. And then you had the CPI data this morning that came out better than expected as well. And, I think that means lower inflation means the Fed's not as harsh, and that's a positive for crypto, hopefully. This is what I love about charts, is that charts basically give you an insight into what's going to happen. It doesn't guarantee it, but it gives you insight. And what you can see here is we had this little move up right here. Yeah. And this is the daily chart. So every candle here is 1 day. And basically from that point on, we went sideways. And this is known in the technical trading sphere as a bull flag. So bull flag meaning bullish, and price should pop, and that's exactly what it's doing here. Now, it's not a big pop, but again, we're in the middle of a bear market with FTX, so what do we expect? But again, it did tell us that you should have some sort of move up, and we did get that move up. For me, this is your next big area of resistance, right around 18,500. All these kind of lows right in here, that's going to be the next level that price has to try to get through to make a move up. So we'll see what happens here. The Fed tomorrow, I would basically say I expect crypto quiet until then, and then you'll see some big reaction up or down on the Fed. So they're going to say, okay, guys, we're going to raise another 50 in January, and then that would be a reaction because we don't expect that. Or they're going to say, oh, we're not going to raise at all in January, and the market would get really happy. So it's more what they guide versus what actually occurs tomorrow. Since the markets always are really good at pricing things in ahead of time. it's whatever his comments are that we don't know yet, and that's what markets will react to tomorrow. And if we look at the hourly chart, you have the same general thing, right? So you can see it's a little sloppier on this time frame, but you have this move up here. So you have this move, and then basically you went sideways here and then sideways right down here, and that's your bullish pattern that leads to that move up. So this is what people have to understand, is that after a big move up, there's a propensity for people to sell into it. So if you had a lot of sellers, if you had a ton of sellers more than buyers, price would come right back down. But the reason why it's bullish when it goes sideways is that it ultimately means that investors, bulls and bears, are equaling each other, right? So even after this run, there were still a decent amount of buyers that were offsetting the amount of sellers, and that's why price goes sideways, because there's an equal amount. And that's showing you that even after the up move, there's still buying interest, and it's usually a very bullish sign for the next move up. This is representing psychology, right? So it's human nature, buyers and sellers, greed and fear, and all that kind of stuff that's kind of going back and forth. You know, you'd still think that if someone wanted to sell, though, they could put it back on and quickly sell. But it certainly shows us that there's a certain amount of people that are just like, hey, listen, I'm in for the long haul no matter what, and I'll go down with the ship or I'll be a millionaire, you know, one or the other. There's always a possibility. I doubt by itself the Fed would cause a big sell-off. You know, I think that in general, you have to look at it like, okay, so the Fed could maybe push prices back down a little bit, but it's probably another shoe to drop if we're going to get that big drop. But the thing, this is the kicker, right, is that I do think that there will be something that happens like that. So what we know is, you know, they say things happen in threes. Yeah. So you had Terra Luna, you had FTX. So which is the third one? And, you know, it's like, when I hear about like two people that died, I'm like, who's there's always like a third one. I know that's kind of morbid, but but it's like, so you do think that there's something else. And I think also the biggest threat to crypto outside of kind of these FTX scenarios is what happens when the stock market takes another big drop. And right now we've been in this, you know, basically at the S&P's been sideways to up now for, you know, basically since October. And so we've had now almost 3 months of sideways to up action. At some point, the stock market's going to really drop another, I think, 20-25%. And can Bitcoin withstand that, or does it drive it down?